Alright, so we're going to be looking at one of the most asked questions. Is Kaneki going to live or die at the end of Tokyo Ghoul? It's been a question that people have asked almost since the very beginning, to be honest, and the structure of the Tokyo Ghoul universe, the story, the writing has completely changed, but I believe the outcome has not. The outcome has, from my perspective, been the same since the very beginning, and that is not just because the story is written as a tragedy. This has literally nothing to do with that genre in itself, because I know a lot of people like to kind of debate with me on that, like, oh, the story is no longer a tragedy. This has got nothing to do with it. So what I'm going to do is kind of break down, I guess, my different thinking patterns for why Kaneki's going to die at the end of the series. There's three things in total, and the first one is Kaneki's mentality. Now, Kaneki's mentality is the biggest thing throughout the entirety of the story. It's like the central point of the whole story. It's what gives Kaneki progression throughout the story. It also gives the overlooming world progression as well. And Kaneki has changed tremendously since the beginning of the story, since before he was a ghoul, to his early stages of being a ghoul, to his dive into insanity, to his quote-unquote rebirth into Hayase Sasaki, to the point where he is now. Now, looking at that mentality and, like, I guess kind of bringing it full circle, because that's kind of the whole picture I have in my head right now. There's a thing with Kaneki's mentality that makes him suicidal, and it's not, I want to say, heavily portrayed. It's not like literally portrayed all too often in the story, so people kind of get mixed up in itself. It has been shown multiple times that Kaneki is very suicidal in a lot of different essence, and that he just wants to give up and he just wants to die. This was the main mentality that Kaneki had throughout the entirety of the story, even in his Hayase Sasaki form, even in the Black Reaper form, and leading up towards his final rebirth into the One-Eyed King. It's one of the most strongest standpoints for Kaneki as a character. However, that has changed, and it has morphed into something completely different. For a character to go through the entirety of the story wanting to die but not being able to, not being given the option to, and not fulfilling that need of a suicidal tendency, he has been pushed away from that option. Now, for a character that wants to live in the story, a character that wants to provide a future for his ghouls and for his child and for his wife, unfortunately it opens up that option once again, like the option for him to die, but no longer by the suicidal means, but more so by the sacrificial means. In some ways, you can say that Kaneki has evolved to that next level, pushing past these suicidal tendencies that he did have, to a point where now he is willing to sacrifice everything that he has, including himself, including his life, to build and conquer and cement a future for everyone that isn't him, because he knows that he is the only person that can do it. So the evolution of Kaneki's mentality, if you can't already tell, is somewhat coming full circle from being suicidal and wanting to die but not being given the option to, and not being allowed to die, to suddenly having all this power and having all this responsibility, and to the point now where he is willing to sacrifice himself for another good cause, to sacrifice himself for the future instead of himself. And it shows Kaneki's progression as a character very well, in saying that he's no longer as selfish as he used to be, and we've only really just come to the pinnacle of it in some essence of the most recent chapters, because even after Kaneki became the One-Eyed King, he still dabbled in the fact that he was lost and he didn't know what he was fighting for, and he didn't know what the point of fighting for was, because he was confused and he was lost. But now that his mind is straight, now that he has a clear-cut goal with what he wants to do, his determination is through the roof and nothing is holding him back. That leads me to the first big reason why I think Kaneki's gonna die, is the fact that he is now willing to sacrifice everything, not because he's suicidal, but because he wants to protect the people he loves, because he wants to create a future that's big and bright on the foundation that he is currently building, which will most likely include his death, solidifying it basically in blood. Now, the second thing is actually Kaneki's health. At the moment, Kaneki is literally slowly dying. It's come to the point where we found out that his body is rapidly aging, and his human DNA and his ghoul DNA is not mixing well together. It's causing him to rapidly age, which means that he is very prone to diseases and complications in the body, as well as the fact that he cannot heal properly, and the more he uses his ghoul abilities, the more he gets injured, the quicker this process actually happens, the quicker he gets closer to death. Now, this is very literal. We do find out that he does have some sort of time frame, and he's very uneasy on this time frame because he's not sure how long he has left. However, there is one stipulation in this, is the fact that he can somewhat prolong his life by supposedly cannibalizing on ghouls, which is a good thing but also a bad thing. There's more bad reasons than good, which makes me believe that Kaneki will not cannibalize by his own will will, meaning that he will not cannibalize on a large amount of ghouls for the purpose of living out a normal life with Toka and his child, because the fact that once Kaneki dabbles in cannibalization to that extent to keep himself alive, he's going to be completely different. He is going to change and morph into, some would say, a monster. So I personally don't think he's going to cannibalize to that extent. I do think he's going to cannibalize to give himself enough strength to fight with Furuta and to fight the V organization and basically finish off everything that he has to do, so he knows that he's the pinnacle of his strength when he goes up against those characters. Anything after that regarding cannibalization, I don't think he's going to do it. I feel like it kind of backpedals his character a little bit too much, even though it is the only option to keep himself alive. Now, the third and final reason is actually his legacy and the One-Eyed King title in itself. The One-Eyed King title is a very literal title. It's a title of strength, basically, and the person that holds this title holds a very big responsibility in the ghoul world. Upon having this title, you gain a lot of allies, but you also gain very strong enemies, such as the V organization, the Washu clan, the CCG in general. Some would say that the title itself is a burden, and the only reason the title is in play at this point is to upstart a revolution so Kaneki can be the leader that he has to be. However, this title will most likely come to a conclusion at the end of the series when Kaneki destroys it. There was a phrase that Eto and Arima told Kaneki, I think on separate occasions, but I'm not entirely sure, where they said that Kaneki can either take the title and build upon it, or he can destroy it, basically. He can sit on the throne, or he can destroy the throne. At the moment, Kaneki's sitting on the throne, and he's building his empire. However, he cannot hold onto the title because of the fact that he is also dying. And if he lets this title get out in the wrong hands, for example, Furuta, or any other ghoul related to Furuta or the V organization, unfortunately, the foundation that he's built right now and all the effort that he has created and all the structure that he has created will come crumbling down because he let the king title, the One-Eyed King title, get into the wrong hands, which is kind of the biggest essence of the One-Eyed King title. It holds so much power to the extent where Kaneki will most likely destroy it at the end of the series. If he does not, he will most likely pass it on to someone else that he can trust with the title, where this person can lead when Kaneki is no longer around. In total, this is basically the main structure of why I think Kaneki is most likely going to die at the end of the series. And I know people have different interpretations of this, which is perfectly fine. I know a lot of you guys think that Kaneki's not going to die at the end of the series, which is perfectly fine, but this is just my personal take on it. So with that being said, let me know what you think. Like, do you think Kaneki's going to die at the end of the series, or do you feel like he's going to live by some means? Do you feel like he's going to disappear with Toka and the child? Like, how do you feel like the ending of Kaneki's story, the ending of Kaneki in general, is going to happen? I have a feeling you guys are going to have some very interesting concepts, I guess, for Kaneki's future and where his ending lies, basically. So with that being said, I'm actually going to end the video off here. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.